You've tuned in to the unavailing frequency. But don't touch that dial. We've got you right where we want you.
I work as an overnight janitor in a daycare for monsters. There are strange rules to follow. I never wanted the job. That sentence still sits in my head like a bad tooth. I say it to myself sometimes when I'm driving home at 5 in the morning, hands locked on the wheel, eyes fixed on the empty road. I never wanted the job. But the rent was late, the credit cards were maxed, and the divorce papers had left me with nothing but a half-empty apartment and a name that felt like it belonged to someone else. Barry Dillon, 34, ex-husband, ex-everything. The listing was simple. After-hours janitor needed. Quiet facility, competitive pay, no experience required. I applied, and on the Tuesday and by Thursday I was sitting across from a woman who never once smiled. Her name tag said Miss Vesper. She had the kind of face that looked like it had been ironed flat. No lines, no warmth, just pale skin and eyes the color of old ice. The office smelled faintly of bleach and something sweeter like spoiled fruit. She slid a single laminated sheet across the desk. "These are the rules," she said. "You will follow them exactly. If you cannot, do not take this position." I glanced at the page. 5 rules, strange ones. The kind of thing people post online just for laughs. Rule number 1. Never enter the nap room between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Rule number 2. If you hear soft crying from the art closet, do not open the door. Leave a juice box outside and walk away. Rule number 3. The mirrors in the staff bathroom must stay covered after midnight. If a cover falls, replace it immediately without looking at the glass. Rule number 4. Any child who approaches you after closing is not a child. Do not speak to them. Do not make eye contact. Continue your work. Rule number 5. At 4 a.m., count the pairs of shoes by the front door. There must be exactly 12. If there are 13, leave the building at once and do not return until sunrise. I read through them. I almost smiled. She didn't. "Any questions?" she asked. I shook my head. "Good. You start tonight. Keys on the hook by the back door. Do not come in before 10 p.m. Do not stay past 5 a.m. Oh, and Barry?" She said my name like she was tasting it. "Do not break the rules." I took the sheet. I took the keys. I told myself it was just a job. Little Nightmares Daycare, set on the edge of an industrial park that had been half abandoned since the recession. From the outside it looked almost cheerful. Pastel blue walls, a mural of cartoon animals dancing under a yellow sun, a bright red door with a brass handle polished to shine. The windows were covered with paper cutouts of stars and moons. There was a playground in the back with swings that never moved, even when the wind blew. Inside, the air was different. It smelled like crayons and floor wax and something metallic underneath, like old blood that had been scrubbed but never quite erased. The main room was large and opened, filled with tiny tables and chairs, shelves of picture books, bins of blocks and stuffed animals that looked a little too worn. A hallway led to the bathrooms, the kitchen, and the art closet, and also the nap room. Everything was scaled down for children. Everything felt wrong, though, after dark. My first night, I arrived at 10:02 p.m. The building was empty. The last teacher had locked up at 6 according to the schedule taped inside the staff room. I flipped on the overhead lights and they hummed like they were tired. I started with the main room, sweeping, mopping, wiping tables that were sticky with what looked like jam but smelled faintly of copper. I emptied the trash cans, I restocked the paper towels. I told myself the rules were just corporate nonsense, the kind of thing management invests to feel important or something. I finished by 1:30 a.m. and sat in the staff room, eating a sandwich I'd brought from home. The building was silent except the refrigerator's low drone. I left at 4:45, locked the doors, and drove home without looking in the rearview mirror more than I had to. That night I slept just fine. The second night, I heard the crying. It started at 1:47 a.m. I was in the hallway outside of the art closet. I was wringing out my mop when the sound drifted through the door. Soft, wet, the kind of crying a toddler makes when they've been left alone for too long. Their throat has gone raw. It rose and fell in uneven waves, pausing just long enough for me to think it had stopped, and then it started all over again. I stood there with the mop handle tight in my hands. Rule number 2 had been clear. If you hear soft crying from the art closet, do not open the door. Leave a juice box outside and walk away. I walked to the kitchen. The fridge was stocked with rows of tiny juice boxes. Apple, grape, fruit punch, all of them cold, all of them identical. I took out an apple one, the kind with the little foil straw still attached. I set it on the linoleum outside the closet door. Cardboard made a soft tap when it touched the floor. Crying stopped instantly, like someone had flipped the switch. I waited 30 seconds, a minute, nothing. I finished mopping the hallway without looking at that door again. When I passed it on my way at 4:50, the juice box was gone. Only a small dark stain remained on the floor where it had sat, shaped like a handprint with too many fingers. I scrubbed it away. I told myself it was just condensation. The third night, the mirror cover fell. I was cleaning the staff bathroom. There were 2 of them side by side, both with the same black cloth draped over the mirrors above the sinks. Rule number 3 had said the mirrors in the staff bathroom must stay covered after midnight. If a cover falls, replace it immediately without looking at the glass. I was wiping the counter when I heard the soft thump of fabric hitting the tile. The left cover had slipped off. It lay in a crumpled heap on the floor like a discarded shroud. I kept my eyes on the linoleum. I picked up the cloth, I stretched it back over the glass, smoothing out the edges carefully. My fingers brushed the surface for half a second, just long enough to feel something press back from the other side. Cold, soft, the shape of a palm or something that felt like a palm. I yanked my hand away quickly. The cloth stayed in place. I finished the bathroom with my back to the mirrors and left the lights on when I went out. That night when I got home, I stood in front of my own bathroom mirror for a long time. Nothing looking back at me except my own reflection. Still, I covered with a towel before I went to bed. The fourth night, she came. I was vacuuming the reading corner when I felt the air in the room change. It grew colder, denser, like the room had suddenly remembered that it was underground. I turned off the vacuum. The silence rushed in. 3 feet away, there she stood. A little girl in a yellow dress, bare feet, hair that drifted around her face as if she were underwater. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old. Her eyes were too large, the color of dirty water, and they never blinked. "Barry," she said my name, soft, sweet, yet wrong. Rule number 4. Any child who approaches you after closing is not a child. Do not speak to them. Do not make eye contact. Continue your work. I turned the vacuum back on. The motor roared. I kept my eyes on the carpet, pushing the machine in slow, methodical lines. She didn't move. I could feel her watching. The vacuum hummed, the minutes stretched. When I finally risked a glance upward, she was gone. Only a single wet footprint remained on the carpet. Human-shaped, but with 6 toes and a heel that was too long. I cleaned it. The stain came up easily, but the smell lingered. Pond water, something sweet like rotting flowers. I almost quit that night. I sat in my car in the parking lot with the engine running, staring at the red door, telling myself I would call Miss Vesper in the morning and say I was done. Then I thought about the rent, thought about the empty fridge in my apartment, about the way the divorce lawyer had smiled when he told me I was lucky to walk away with anything at all. I went back the next night. The 5th night was when the shoes appeared. I followed every rule. I stayed out of the nap room between 1 and 3. I left the juice box when the crying started. It lasted longer this time. The voice that wept almost sounded like it was trying to form words. I checked the mirror covers twice. I ignored the soft footsteps that followed me from room to room, always just out of sight. At 3:58 a.m., I walked to the front entrance and counted the pair of shoes lined up neatly against the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Exactly 12. I exhaled. My shoulders dropped. I started picking up my cart, rolling it towards the back door, already tasting the cigarette I would smoke in the parking lot. Then I heard the soft scuff behind me. I turned. A 13th pair sat at the end of the line. Tiny, red, still wet as if they had just come in from the rain. Except it hadn't rained in weeks. The laces were tied in perfect bows. Rule number 5. At 4 a.m., count the pairs of shoes by the front door. There must be exactly 12. If there are 13, leave the building at once and do not return until sunrise. I grabbed my keys. I opened the front door. The night air hit me. Cool, ordinary, smell of asphalt and distant highway. I stepped out into the threshold. Something small and cold closed around my wrist from behind. I didn't turn around. I didn't look back. I just stood there with one foot outside and the other still on the daycare's linoleum, while a soft voice, sounded almost like a child, whispered against the back of my ear. "You counted wrong, Perry. There were always 13. The door swung shut behind me with a sound like a mouth closing. I still work there every night. I arrive at 10 p.m. I lock the door behind me. I mop the main room. I empty the trash. I leave the juice box when the crying starts. I keep the mirrors covered. I ignore the children who are not children. And at 4 a.m. I count the shoes. Sometimes there are 12. Sometimes there are 13. And on the nights there are 13, I leave immediately. I don't look back. I drive home with the radio off and the windows up, and I don't sleep until the sun is fully up. On the nights that there are 12, I finish my work and lock up and drive away and try not to think about the way the building feels like it's watching me go. Last week, the crying from the art closet started saying my name between the sobs. Mary! 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 I left 2 juice boxes this time. The night after that, the little girl in the yellow dress was waiting for me by the reading corner again. She didn't speak. She just held out her hand. In her palm was a single red shoe, still wet. I vacuumed past her. The night after that, the mirror cover fell while I was in the kitchen. When I returned, the cloth had already been back in place. Something had put it there for me. I don't know how much longer I can do this. The rent's paid, the fridge is full, the divorce feels like it happened to someone else. But every morning when I unlock my apartment door, I check the shoes by my own front door first. There are always 2. So far. I told myself that I could quit. That was the lie I repeated every morning while the sun was still honest and the apartment still felt like it belonged to me. I'd finish out the month, I said. I'd find something else. Warehouse work, night security in a normal building, Anything that didn't leave wet footprints in the carpet and the juice boxes that vanished into the closets. 11 more nights came, and on the 12th night, the rules began to change. It all started with the nap room. Rule 1 had always been absolute. Never enter between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. I'd obeyed it without question. The door stayed locked. The hallway outside it stayed empty. I mopped past it the way you walk past a grave. That night the lock was already open. I found it at 1:12 a.m. I was restocking the paper towels, and the drawer stood ajar by about 3 inches, spilling a soft amber light into the hallway. That light was wrong. The overheads in the nap room were fluorescent, cold and white. But this light was warm, the color of old lampshades and fever dreams. I stood there with a package of paper towels in my hands and listened. No crying, no footsteps. Only a low, rhythmic sound like breathing slowed almost to stopping. I should have just closed the door. I should have walked away. Instead, I pushed it open with the toe of my boot. The nap room was exactly as I remembered it from the training photos that Mrs. Vesper had showed me on the first night. Rows of small cots with dinosaur sheets, a rocking chair in the corner, a mobile of felt stars hanging motionless from the ceiling. But the air was thick, humid, the way a bathroom gets after a long shower. The amber light came from nowhere that I could see. It simply existed, coating every surface. On the farthest cot, something small lay under a blanket. The shape rose and fell with the same slow breathing. I took one step inside. The door swung shut behind me. The click of the latch was soft and final. I didn't run. Running felt like a kind of mistake that'll get you noticed. I backed up until my shoulders touched the door, and I waited. The shape under the blanket kept breathing. After a long time, minutes, maybe hours, I couldn't tell. It just stopped. The blanket settled flat against the mattress. Whatever had been under it was gone. When I tried the door handle, it opened easily. The hallway outside was dark. My phone said 2:47 a.m. I'd been inside for over an hour, and I had no memory of the time passing. I finished my shift in silence. At 4 a.m., there were 12 pairs of shoes. I left without looking at the 13th place on the floor where a pair should have been. The next night, the juice box came back. I left it outside the art closet at 1:51 when the crying started. The crying stopped as always at 3:30. I was wiping the kitchen counters. I heard the soft tap of cardboard on linoleum. The juice box was back. It was sitting in the middle of the kitchen floor. The straw had been pushed in. Half of it was gone. The rest of the juice was darker than it should have been. The color of a weak tea mixed with something red. On the side of the box, in a child's uneven handwriting, were 2 words. Thank you. I threw it away. The trash bag felt heavier than it should have been when I carried it out to the dumpster. Miss Vesper called me the following afternoon. Her voice on the phone was the same flat tone she had used in the interview. Barry, there has been a change. I waited. A 6th rule has been added. You will find it printed and laminated on the staff room table tonight. Follow it exactly. She hung up before I could ask anything. The 6th rule was waiting for me when I arrived, exactly where she said it would be. The laminate was still warm, as if it had been printed only minutes earlier. Rule number 6. If a child asks you to sing, you will sing. Do not stop until the song is finished. Do not choose the song. The child will tell you what to sing. I stared at the page for a long time. Then I folded it once and put it in the back of my pocket with the original 5 rules. That night, no one asked me to sing. The night after that, someone did. She was waiting by the reading corner again. The same girl in the yellow dress. Her hair still drifted as if underwater. Her bare feet left no prints this time. She held a small stuffed rabbit by one ear. The rabbit's eyes had been scratched out. "Barry," she said. "Sing." I kept my eyes on the vacuum. Rule 4 still existed. Rule 6 existed now too. The contradiction sat in my chest like a stone. "Sing the one about the stars," she said. Her voice was soft, almost kind. "The one that goes to sleep." I knew the song. Everyone knew the song. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." I'd sung it to no one in years. But I sang. My voice cracked on the first line. The vacuum's still running, so I turned it off in order for the words to be clearer. She watched me the entire time, her head tilted, the ruined rabbit dangling from her fingers. When I finished the final line, she smiled. The smile was too wide. It showed teeth that were small and sharp and crowded. "Again," she said. I sang it again. "Again!" I sang until my throat hurt, until the words stopped meaning anything, until the mobile felt stars in the nap room doors away, closed and locked, began to turn on its own, casting slow, rotating shadows through the gap under the door. When she finally nodded and walked away into the dark hallway, I sat on one of the tiny chairs and put my head in my hands. My phone said 3:11 a.m. I'd been singing for 40 minutes straight. I didn't remember half of the words I sang. At 4 a.m., there were 13 pairs of shoes. I left. I started keeping a notebook. I needed to see the words on paper. I thought it would help. Because the nights were beginning to blur, I needed to believe that what was happening was actually real. I wrote in the staff room during my break. Ballpoint pen on a cheap spiral pad I bought at the gas station. Night 23. Juice box returned again. Message this time, "You left the light on." I didn't leave any light on. Night 24. Mirror cover fell twice. Second time the cloth was already back when I returned. Handprint on the inside of the glass. Small. Night 25. Girl asked for a different song. Lullaby I didn't know, I sang it anyways. The words came out of my mouth that I have never heard before. Night 26. 13 shoes, left immediately. Something followed my car for 3 miles. Lights that weren't mine. Night 27. Nap room door opened again. Did not enter. Breathing from inside was faster tonight. On the 28th night, I broke rule number 1 on purpose. I told myself I needed to know. I told myself the rules were only rules if someone enforced them. I told myself a lot of things while I stood in the hallway at 1:03 a.m. with my hand on the nap room doorknob. The door opened easily. The amber light waiting for me. The cots were all empty this time. The rocking chair moved by itself, slow arcs forward and back. The mobile turned above it. In the center of the room where the carpet met the wall, a small door had appeared that had never been there before. Child-sized. Painted the same pastel blue as the exterior of the building. No handle, only a keyhole. I still had the keys Miss Vesper had given me on the first night. One of them fit. The small door opened into darkness that smelled of wet earth and old milk. Stairs led down. I counted 12 before I stopped counting. The amber lights did not follow me. My phone flashlight shone concrete walls close on either side, weeping with condensation. At the bottom of the stairs was a single room. Cots, dozens of them, all occupied. The shapes under the blankets were the wrong size, some too long, some too wide, some with too many joints, bending the fabric in places that joints should not be. The breathing was a chorus, rising and falling together like a single set of lungs shared among many bodies. On the far wall, written in something dark that had dripped before it dried, were 5 words. "We were here first, Barry." I didn't remember climbing the stairs. I didn't remember locking the small door or the nap room door behind me. I only remembered standing in the hallway again with my flashlight shaking in my hand and the sound of the rocking chair still moving on the other side of the wall. At 4 a.m. there were 14 pairs of shoes this time. I left the building at a sprint. Miss Vesper was out waiting in the parking lot. She stood beside my car with her arms folded, the same iron-flat expression on her face. The streetlight above her flickered once and held. "You went downstairs," she said. Not a question. I didn't answer. "The rules exist for a reason, Barry. They are not suggestions. They are terms of an agreement older than this building, older than this town. The children are not the only ones who use this place after dark." "What are they?" My voice sounded thin. She looked at me the way you look at a stain that will not come out. "They are what happens when the things that live in the walls get lonely. The daycare, it's a door that swings both ways. During the day, it lets the small ones through so they can practice being almost human. At night, it lets the others through so they can remember what they used to be. Your job is to keep the floor clean, the lights low, and the rules unbroken so the door doesn't open wider than it already has. And if it does, then the counting stops mattering. The shoes stop mattering. You stop mattering. The building will simply continue, and whatever walks out of it will wear your face until it finds a better one." She handed me a new laminated sheet. Rule number 7. You will not speak of what you saw downstairs. You will not write of it. You will not return to the small door. If you dream of the stairs, you will wake yourself before you reach the bottom. "Follow the rules, Barry," she said, "or become one of the reasons that they exist." She walked away into the dark between the streetlights. I never saw where she went. I still work there. The notebook is gone. I looked for it the next night and found only a faint rectangular clean spot on the staff room table where it had been. The 7th rule sits with the others in my back pocket, the laminate already softening from the heat of my body. The girl in the yellow dress has not asked me to sing again. She only watches now. From doorways, from edges of mirrors where the cover slips. Sometimes she holds the red shoe. Sometimes she holds nothing. The crying from the art closet has learned new words. "Stay. Stay with us. The downstairs is so lonely without you." Last night there were 12 pairs of shoes. I counted them twice. Then a 13th pair appeared while I was still looking. Red, wet, laces tied in perfect bows. I left. In the parking lot, my own shoes were waiting beside the driver's door of my car. 2 pairs. Both mine. Both still warm. I drove home barefoot. Tonight I will go back. I've already decided I will not count the shoes. I've already decided I will sing if I am asked. I have already decided that when the nap room door stands open, I will walk past it without looking, the way you walk past a grave that you helped dig. The rules are longer now, and I think they'll keep growing. I think one night there will be a rule that says I'm not allowed to leave, and I think by then I will already have forgotten how.